up, Airsofters? This is the all-new SIG ProForce MCX VIRTUS AEG. This is not just another M4. Although it uses standard STANAG magazines, it has no buffer tube and a very unique receiver and rail design. SIG SAUER really set out to make the next logical iteration of the M4 family of firearms with this design. And this Airsoft version is the closest you can get to the real thing. SIG works very hard to ensure that every product with their logo is made to exacting standards. And for the MCX AEG, this meant that the stock and rails from the real MCX will fit and function flawlessly with the Airsoft counterpart. Now this makes sense because SIG set out for this to be a one-to-one training implement for their weapon system. It says so right on their website. Check it out. Like many other Airsoft guns, this one comes in a box. Upon opening the box, you'll find that the MCX is cradled nicely between some robust pieces of foam and wrapped in a plastic bag. Removing that will give you access to a removable cover for the extra parts, including the magazine and the extra spring. First things first, let's take a look at the externals. You'll notice that there are a lot of features here that are very reminiscent of the AR-15 or M4 platform. Those familiar with the fire control group are going to feel right at home here. The very familiar AR-style pistol grip or motor grip in the case of the AEG. The location of the trigger, mag well, mag release, bolt release, even rail systems are all going to feel very familiar. They have, however, updated the design, eliminating the buffer tube with an all-new gas system that functions extremely well, and in the Airsoft version allows you to replace a variety of stocks without having to worry about wiring or buffer tube length or anything like that. This collapsible style stock has 3 positions, 2 QD mount points on either side, not to mention because of the Picatinny or 1913 rail mount on the back, you can swap out the stock with any other stock for the MCX. Moving forward from that, we've got a full CNC finished upper receiver as well as a CNC machined front rail. But again, the fire controls ambidextrous and easy to use. One thing I like about the trigger guard is that they've actually slimmed it up. Even though it is more pronounced to get a gloved finger in there, it's a lot more comfortable and it doesn't get in your way on the back side. For me, I think the angle of the pistol grip is a little steep, but it feels just like the real thing, and it's a really comfortable grip to begin with. Another added detail of realism are all of the trademarks on the other side. They've gone to great lengths to make this look just like the real thing, and all of the correct trademarks are here. You'll also notice the bolt release here. This is not ambidextrous, but we can pull back on the charging handle, which locks open the hop-up unit. You can make your adjustments on the rotary style hop-up and then depress that bolt release, sending it all the way home. Something unique about this bolt release and imitation bolt is that they're actually operated by dual springs because of how the gas system changes with the real MCX. So this actually gives you a really rewarding click and reset that makes it more reliable than a lot of the imitation bolts that cover hop-up units on the market for M4 AEGs. And that's just one more awesome feature of the MCX VIRTUS. Up top, you'll notice that we have a full-length top rail. They haven't included flip-up backup sights in the box, but you've got plenty of options there. And we've thrown a primary arms ACSS Cyclops on here just to give you an idea of what it could look like with an optic. Something I find interesting as well, very reminiscent of some of the more advanced ARs of a couple years ago, is the semi-monolithic upper receiver. You've got an upper receiver that extends past the front of the lower receiver, giving you a lot more stable mounting platform for your front handguard. That means that the grooves on the upper receiver that the front handguard slides into make for a very sturdy and stable mount that will not lose its zero over time due to warping or movement or any drop cases like that. Then you've got even more mounting space and stable mounting space for your M-LOK accessories on the 3, 6, and 9 locations, of course with the Picatinny at the top. One thing you'll notice on either side is this plus and minus with 2 arrows. And that references the real MCX adjustment for their gas system on the front here. In the AEG, it has no practical use, but it's really cool that they've gone to great lengths to replicate all of the realistic features of the MCX VIRTUS rifle in their AEG form. Now, what you might notice here at the front is there's also some wiring and a battery that we've installed. And that's because no buffer tube means that this needs to be wired to the front. You are going to be somewhat limited in terms of battery choices. A standard nunchuck style battery like this one happens to be the Valken 11.1, which uses 2 of the 11.1 legs on one side and 1 on the other, or a triple or even a double 7.4 nunchuck style will all work, and those work because they're flat cells. You might find it difficult to mount a standard NIMH battery in here, but because it's LiPo ready, it's about time you make the switch, don't you think? I'm sure you're wondering, as I did, if this bad boy could fit a tracer unit, and of course it can. The threads end just about here, and they're 14mm negative. Now, at this time, this is not the suppressor ready version of the handguard, so you're not going to get anything to fit inside the handguard itself, but I think a KX3 on this bad boy would look awesome, and it would give you the added functionality of tracer rounds. One other feature of the real MCX that works great in the AEG version of the MCX VIRTUS is how quick it is to remove the front handguard and give you access to your battery compartment. Simply by pulling the front body pin, you can slide the entire rail off the front like so and have access to your battery and wiring. As you can see, I've got my battery tucked up along the top side of the outer barrel in the gap between the upper receiver. A 1000 milliamp LiPo battery would also fit really nicely here. Just be aware, because this is CNC machined, there can be some sharp edges, so just be mindful of that when inserting your battery. This also gives us a great view of our automotive fuse, as well as our quick disconnects for our wiring so that they can get it through the front receiver, as well as our battery connector, which, if we're honest, should be Dean's. They have integrated, like the stock, all of the attachment points to ensure that you can use real MCX accessories like different handguards on this front end, and it opens them up to offering different barrel lengths or different suppressor ready handguards. So you really could have a modular system that allows you to have a infinite number of customizable lengths and styles to give you a package that works in every environment. Rounding out the externals are some very practically placed QD points. We talked about the ones on the rear, but there are also 2 on either side of the front handguard, just behind all of your M-LOK points, as well as a flared magwell. Now, when they say flared magwell, I think they're referencing the beveled cuts here, but we're airsofters. And flared magwells to us mean a chute that you could throw your magazine into. Am I glad it doesn't have that? Yes. While we're talking about the magwell, let's talk a little bit about magazine fitment. There are so many AR-15 magazine using AEGs on the market, and sometimes mag compatibility can be an issue. We have found that some of the best fitting magazines in this are the VFC metal magazine, as well as the G&P polymer magazines like the Frogman or the EV magazine, as well as the Crytac all-new mid-cap and the G&G drop-free magazine, which you could probably get to drop free. That might be cool. With that said, that just about covers all of our external coolness. Let's take a look at what's going on inside. Inside, the MCX relies on the proven Avalon system. The Avalon gearbox has 16:1 gears riding on 8mm bearings. The piston has a half rack of metal teeth, second tooth shaved down, and a ported aluminum piston head. The cylinder is ported, and the cylinder head is polymer with a single O-ring. The air nozzle does have an O-ring, which helps with air seal. The Avalon gearboxes also have a built-in MOSFET, which helps to regulate power and protect your motor, battery, and trigger contacts. The trigger itself is a standard AEG trigger. No micro switch, sadly. The rest of the wiring runs out the front of the gearbox. This is a front wire only deal. The quick detach spring system is somewhat unique to M4 AEGs. It can be accessed by removing the retractable stock. This can be performed by using the Allen locking key on the side. Then you'll get a look at the Picatinny rail segment used for mounting the stocks. This can also be removed easily with an Allen or hex wrench by giving it a quarter turn. And that's it. Your spring and spring guide can be removed that easily. The rotary style hop up and bucking these days are standard fare. The inner barrel is about 318 millimeters long and has very deep crowning, which is really nice to see. All right, guys, we are downstairs in our outdoor testing facility. We've got our MCX and a freshly loaded magazine. Now, first thing you'll notice is that, of course, because of its AR platform, it's going to use AR magazines. And a lot of the features that we went over upstairs, we're going to test for fit, function, and kind of ergonomics and give you an overall opinion of what we think. Now, besides just looking cool, the MCX is really comfortable to fire. Let's let off a couple rounds. As you can see, accuracy has no problem here with the MCX. The 11.5 or 318-ish millimeter inner barrel gives you plenty of accuracy, both close and at farther distances. And because of its compact size, you've got a weapon platform that can be used in a variety of environments. One thing I particularly like is the retractable stock. Multiple positions make it comfortable for a variety of heights of shooters. Now for me at 6'2", I find that the stock could be a little bit longer, but again, because this is collapsible, it's designed to be pretty compact, and to have it extend anymore would just take up more room on the receiver and ultimately make it less portable. It does use that Picatinny mount, so you can always swap to another SIG stock that's been designed for this. Up front, we've also got plenty of M-LOK space for attachments. I could see running a flashlight and a vertical grip or hand stop up here, giving you a little bit better control. But ultimately, overall, it's really comfortable. The ambidextrous controls are also easy to get to. The magazine release can be accessed from either side, showing that thumb release there makes it really, really easy to release. The only thing I wish that it had come with was a set of flip-up sights, but to keep costs down, you know, they've left that option up to you, and ultimately throwing on a primary arms optic is a great way to get really accurate sights. Let's put this thing on full auto and see how it does. So as you can see, accuracy at 40 feet is incredible, but let's move back a little further and see how much better we get at this. Now it is a little bit overhopped right out of the box. Thankfully, I can make that adjustment pretty easily. Now we've taken this right out of the box, so we haven't cleaned the barrel or done anything to it other than take it out, flip a battery in there, and go to town. I think the accuracy is great, even at 80 feet. Let's go a little farther. Now the first thing I'm noticing is at this distance, yeah, your grouping's going to spread a bit, and that's to be expected out of anything that isn't a sniper rifle or a dedicated DMR. But at a longer engagement distance, you're still hitting body-sized targets. Let's take a zoom over and look at the target itself. Come on. Now, as you can see, our initial burst was nice and tight, and as we moved farther back, the grouping got a little larger, and ultimately, out at 150 feet, it was pretty wide. But out of a dirty barrel using .25s, which are gonna be more affected by wind, that's a great grouping. At that distance, you're still hitting body-sized targets on the field. So, whether you're gonna be using this for CQB or your outdoor at a milsim event, that's a really nice grouping right out of the box. Let's do our FPS and RPS tests at the chrono. As you can see, we've set up old reliable, the X-Cortec X3200 chronograph, set it for 0.2 gram BBs, and we've got 0.2 gram BBs in our magazine. Same battery, same everything else. Let's see what kind of FPS we get. Now that's a pretty consistent FPS range right out of the box. Now remember that this is designed to be one-to-one with the real thing, and all of the stocks and handguards would fit from the real MCX onto this, making it a very realistic training platform. Because of that, they've gone a little bit higher FPS than you may be used to seeing on an AEG, simply because the intention is as a training platform. But to use this on the airsoft field, it's as simple as swapping out the spring using the quick change spring guide. The 120 they've included results in that FPS. They've also included a 110 to drop that a little bit more. Or if you plan on using this indoors, throwing something like an M90 in there to get your FPS well within the indoor range limits is absolutely doable. And of course, because it's LiPo ready, it'll handle it. Let's get an RPS test. Once again, very consistent. The SIG MCX can keep 19 rounds per second with an 11.1 volt 30C LiPo and keeps it right about 414 to 415 FPS. Now, if you change the spring, I'm willing to bet that the consistency will be the same. Overall, I'm really pleased with a platform that really kind of revitalizes the tired, boring old AR-15 and M4 platform. The ergonomics are great. It's really comfortable to shoot. You have a ton of accessory mounting positions. You've got QD sling mount points everywhere to make it even easier to field at your local airsoft field. Ultimately, I think this training platform turned airsoft gun probably one of the better buys for ARs on the market. Let's head upstairs. You know, for SIG's first foray into their own in-house built AEG, the SIG MCX VIRTUS is an excellent example. The build quality is incredible, the CNC machining is nice and clean, the fitment of all the parts is great, and the ability to take external upgraded accessories for the real MCX like the handguards and stocks means that you can customize this thing in a ton of ways. In fact, if it were mine, I'd probably throw a Foldy Boy stock on there because who doesn't love Foldy Boys? And maybe I'd go with like the shorter railed handguard and do a SBR style mock suppressor in the front. Something really, really short and compact, making it ideal for CQB environments. To check out even more information about the SIG MCX VIRTUS AEG and to buy your own, head to Evike.com or check us out on our social media platforms like Facebook and Instagram for future updates and exciting releases in terms of other accessories, different colorways, and updates to the platform. As always, make sure you play safe, play hard, and play responsibly. See you later.